Slate reaction and breakdown of gods and monsters. See the damn never say about this. Check this out.
Well, it finally happened, ladies and gentlemen. James Gunn just revealed the DCU's first chapter, titled Gods and Monsters. And I'll be honest with you guys, this is a mixed bag for me. There's some stuff that's absolutely incredible that I'm very hyped up to see, but there's other stuff that seems confusing or unnecessary or just, frankly, weird. And so in this video, I'm going to break down the good and the bad, all the projects that were announced, and try to make sense of some of the confusing things. But I do want to say this is a developing story. The trades are putting out a lot of new information. There's stuff like a writer's brain trust and different elements to some of the projects, like a pre-established Bat family in the coming Batman project, that are going to come out and need clarified. So this is really more of a raw reaction to the sort of video that James Gunn made into the slate that he announced. Now, I am going to be doing a live stream tomorrow, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I'm going to break down in more detail all of the stuff going on with the DCU. But again, that's going to be then. For now, we're just reacting. Now, look, my overall take here, like, this is my raw reaction, is that I think the plan that James Gunn has is really good, but the presentation that we were all just given was not. So I am in the camp that actually is still really hopeful and optimistic about a lot of these different projects and about the DCU in general. But I think that this announcement was sort of hastily made. Like, I thought that video was really bad. It's googly club at the beginning, doesn't quite clarify what is canon, what is not canon, and then spends way too much time talking about projects that aren't that relevant or exciting. Like, it should have just gone in, talked about either rebooting the Trinity or what the Trinity is going to be doing, really focused on that Green Lantern movie and how it's going to set up the wider story. I felt like the video was really weak, and the information is coming out in such a weird trickle-down way in all these different articles. It's not a good presentation, but the plan itself has a lot of stuff to get really excited about. So let's go over the projects in order that James Gunn talked about them. First, there is a Creature Commandos TV series, which is going to be animated. But if any of these characters are in the other movies, James Gunn hopes that the actual actor will voice the character. And James Gunn is writing Creature Commandos himself, and it is said to be an animated series that will lead into some live-action stuff. The Weasel from the Suicide Squad is said to be in there, as well as Rick Flag Sr. So it seems like it's going to tie into like a lot of Peacemaker Suicide Squad stuff. Next up, there's going to be a show called Waller, which is a TV series focused on Amanda Waller. And James Gunn explained that some of the characters we're changing out. This is a multiverse. Some of the characters we're using are the same actors. Viola is still playing Waller as she has Team Peacemaker with her. The series will fall in between the first and second seasons of Peacemaker, Gunn explained, so Peacemaker Season 2 is being delayed. The next project was called Superman Legacy. This is said to be a movie, and Superman Legacy is like the big kickoff for the DCU. Gunn said that Creature Commandos and Waller are sort of like an appetizer, and then the Superman Legacy movie is really going to kick off their vision in earnest. He said this is really the start of the DCU. It's currently being written by James, and I sincerely hope that he can be persuaded, perhaps, to direct it as well, Safran said. It's not an origin story. It focuses on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing, Safran added. He is the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way. He is kindness in a world that thinks of kindness as old-fashioned. And don't worry, I have a lot of thoughts on even the first three that were just announced, but let's just get through all of the announcements, and then I'll sort of sink my teeth into like what I like and what I don't like. And so next up, you have the Lanterns TV show. This has me quite excited. Green Lantern will finally come to the screen again, and this is supposed to be a huge HBO quality TV event that's already in development, and our vision for it is very much in the vein of True Detective, Safran said. It's terrestrial based. It's got two of our favorite Green Lanterns, Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, starring in a True Detective type mystery, as it plays a really big role in leading into the main story that we're telling across our film and television. Next up, The Authority, my most hyped up announcement. I absolutely love this comic book run. One of the things with the DCU is it just isn't a story of heroes and villains. Not every movie and TV show is going to be about good guy versus bad guy. Giant thing from the sky comes down and good guy wins. Gunn explained. There are black hats, white hats, and gray hats. There are people that are anti-heroes. There are people that are very questionable, like the Authority, who basically believe that you can't fix the world in an easy manner, and they sort of take things into their own hands. Next up, we have Paradise Lost, a big TV series. This is said to be a massive series which will take place on Themyscira, and it's before the birth of Wonder Woman, and it follows the political intrigue of an all-female society. It's going to be a Game of Thrones-ish story about Themyscira, Paradise Island, and the home of the Amazon. And it's also the birthplace of Wonder Woman, Safran said. This drama is really about the political intrigue behind a society of all women. Gunn added, what's the origin of an island of all women? What are the beautiful truths and the ugly truths behind all of that? And what's the scheming like between the different power players in that society? Next up, we have Brave and the Bold, a movie which is based on Grant Morrison's Batman run, and it will explore Damian Wayne. This will exist separate from Robert Pattinson's Batman and the Matt Reeves films, which are going to be called Elseworlds. This is the introduction of the DCU Batman, Bruce Wayne, and also introducing our favorite Robin, Damian Wayne, who is a little son of a bitch assassin murderer, Gunn said of the film. Batman didn't know Damian existed for the first 8 to 10 years of his life, and Gunn describes this as a very strange father-son story about the duo. Next up, we have Booster Gold, a TV series. It's about a loser from a future who uses basic future technology to come back to today and pretend to be a superhero, Safran teased. It's basically imposter syndrome as a superhero, Gunn added. Next up, we have Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which is a movie. This is going to be based on Tom King's comic book series. Gunn explained, in our DCU, we see the difference between Superman, who was once sent to Earth and raised by loving parents from the time he was an infant, versus Supergirl, who was raised on a rock chip off of Krypton and watched everyone around her die and be killed in terrible ways for the first 14 years of her life. Next up, we've got Swamp Thing, which is said to be a movie. These stories, although they're interconnected, they're not all tonally the same, Safran said. So each set of filmmakers brings their own aesthetic to these films. And the fun is seeing how these tonally different works will mash up in the future. The film investigates the dark origins of Swamp Thing. The comic was previously adapted to a live-action TV series in 2019 that was canceled after 1 season. Okay, so that's the slate. That's the first chapter. Let's talk about the things I like, the good things, then we'll get into the things that I absolutely can't stand. So first up, Green Lantern show, HBO quality, true detective, and it's going to tie into this big, wider threat, something crazy that's going on, a mystery that's going to lead into the macro story that they want to tell for the DCEU, or the DCU rather. Brilliant. This is a great idea. I love the Lanterns, and the Lanterns have been at the core of almost every major DC event ever. So they're a really important part of the DC lore and mythos, and something that's never been properly adapted in any live-action version of anything DC. So that's a huge dub for me, a big win. It's so interesting that such an important part of the DCU is going to start as a show, but if it ends up being super high quality like they're saying, that's a win for us fans. That could be really, really cool. Now let's talk about the Authority movie. Dudes, I love The Authority. That original run by Warren Ellis is one of the most fun 6-issue run, I think it was, of comics I've ever read. And then the Mark Waid run after that was absolutely incredible also. These are really fun characters. And the thing is, James Gunn is actually a perfect fit for writing and directing a movie like this. What he did with Guardians of the Galaxy is a perfect example of taking lesser-known, more obscure characters and making them mainstays, which is interesting because that's something that was also talked about by Safran and James Gunn. They talked about leveraging big characters for the lesser-known shows to then elevate those lesser-known characters to be big characters in the next chapter. That's an interesting strategy. I wonder how that'll tie into the Authority, because the Authority doesn't have any really well-known characters. I guess Midnighter's probably the most well-known of them. And so, honestly, even if this whole thing crashes and burns, I hope James Gunn gets to make the Authority movie before they cancel it and reboot the whole thing again, because I think he's a perfect fit for it, and I can't wait to see the Authority movie. The Brave and the Bold. Holy crap, that is really exciting. Grant Morrison, incredible comic book writer. You know, obviously doing All-Stars Superman, doing Brave and the Bold, doing some crazy Justice League stuff back in the day. I love Grant Morrison's stuff, and Damian Wayne is also my favorite Robin. So I think it's so damn cool that we're going to get a movie focused on that. I also love that we might get an established Bat family. That's something that has been said in some of the newer comments via the trades talking about this. Apparently they will have an established Bat family. That's awesome. Damian Wayne and his thing with Dick Grayson, like the rivalry that they have, is absolutely terrific. So I hope we see that play out on screen. And there's just so much Batman goodness to get into here. And as a person that didn't love the Batman and has been hopeful for a really comic accurate Batman for a long, long time, this is something really intriguing. The possibilities here are dope. But you see, the Batman project, Brave and Bold, also brings one of the biggest questions that I have. It gets me into a lot of the stuff I don't like. How are they going to do a Bruce Wayne story where he has been Batman for at least 8 to 10 years in order to have Damian, and you're going to do a young Superman? Henry Cavill's too old to be young Superman, but your Batman has to be middle-aged to make that story make sense. And so you start to see, just from the announcement here, some of the untruths that have been said by Gunn and some of the ambiguity and vagueness when it comes to what the heck is even going on with the DCU. And I just gotta say, I thought the video James Gunn did was horrible. It's such a weirdly paced video with all these awkward jump cuts. There are even jump cuts where his tone shifts dramatically. It literally seems like he made that video in his mom's basement. And he starts the whole video out talking about how the DC stuff has always been disconnected and it's their job to bring it in, and they got lucky because Shazam exists in its own thing and it can be in the DCU. The Flash movie is going to reset the DCU, and then I guess Aquaman 2 and Blue Beetle will just exist in the DCU? Well, then those are the first DCU movies, not these projects that you are talking about. And does that mean that you're going to keep Jason Momoa as Aquaman? There's even discussion that Gal might still come back as Wonder Woman. And you're going to keep Ezra freaking Miller as the Flash? And yet Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill get the boot, and maybe Affleck makes a little bit more sense, but Henry Cavill loves playing Superman. Henry Cavill would absolutely love to play Superman, and I see no actual reason as to why he couldn't be Superman, except for the fact that James Gunn doesn't like Henry Cavill. And to be completely real with you guys, 2 animated shows that tie into Peacemaker, Suicide Squad, Amanda Waller bullshit? No, thank you. I have zero interest in that. I don't care about it. A show about Themyscira before Wonder Woman is born. Why? Who would want to watch that? Like, that doesn't seem interesting at all. Swamp Thing, Supergirl, and Booster Gold all seem like they could be really fun and cool projects, but there's this other aspect to the announcement that is kind of bothering me, and it's this idea of them letting everything be so tonally unique, right? And something James Gunn even said in his video. He's like, story's the only thing that matters to us. And then Saffron made comments about how the joy of this is you'll bring in different people with their vision and have their vision play and then like connect it all together. And I think the ultimate thing here, man, is that I was thinking about this announcement. I was thinking about all these different projects. It's really ambitious. And again, I think there's really good stuff here. There is, and stuff that I'm excited to see. But I think the problem is, there's not clarity as to whether or not it's a total reboot or a soft reboot. I don't understand why certain things are being rebooted and certain things are not. I don't understand why certain things can be in Elseworld and other things have to be completely gone and removed. And frankly, I don't see how you're going to make this all fit together in a cohesive vision for a macro story moving forward. I don't really see it. So it's a cool announcement, and we've been waiting. And I think the sentiment online is mostly positive from what I've seen. But I mean, my honest to goodness feelings on this are that there's good stuff, there's bad stuff. It's ultimately a very mixed bag. I'm incredibly skeptical of how they're going to pull all of this off. There's a lot of stuff I'm just frankly not interested in. Like, I've never loved James Gunn's specific stuff in the DCU. Like, Peacemaker's like whatever to me. I didn't finish the show. I thought the Suicide Squad was at best. It's like I don't really have any attachment or care to hold on to that stuff. I truly feel that it should just be a clean and total reboot. It kind of feels like maybe it is a reboot, but they're not going to fully announce that until these next few Warner Brothers movies come out, and then Gunn just changes his mind and reboots from there. Maybe doesn't keep Ezra, but for now, there's so much confusion, vagueness, and just stuff that I'm not that excited for that I have to give it a C+. Like, it's cool, but it's not that cool. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And again, we will be talking about this on stream tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Be there, and we'll get into all the details about it. Smash a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and the live streaming channel. We give away dope, nerdy things to lucky subscribers each and every month. And if you want to watch more, why not check out this video I just made about some crazy new reveals about Galactus in the MCU.
Subscribe, like this video. Great night. See you guys. Bye.